Welcome back to Quake Pro League, where we have hot Quake action and hot Mike action as well. 3 series down, 4 to go, 2 of which we will be joined by the one and only DJ Wheat. ZSX, how is the day rolling so far? Anything crazy? Pretty much what we expected? What do you got for us? Tell me how
I
you really feel.
I bet 04 can't wait for DD to get here and relieve me of my duties. It's been a memorable cast so far, but I've enjoyed all the matches, and we've seen some upsets, some surprises, and then some expected results as well. So it's been a mixed bag so far, and I'm only looking forward to more.
Absolutely. And what is more, you might ask? Well, we got ZenAku and psygib coming up next for the next 3 maps. Looking ahead here, no big surprises, not that I know or anything, but it should be good. Master ZenAku, kind of a little shaky, right? I mean, he has these moments of brilliance. We saw Quake World Championships where he actually kind of went toe-to-toe with Rafa for a bit there on a couple of the maps, showing his true form, but then inevitably falling, stuttering a little bit in the lower bracket. So I feel like he might have a tough time against psygib, depending on which psygib shows up, if that makes sense. I mean, any given Sunday, right? It's about who plays the best, but at their peak level, I'm not really sure who I'd put my money on. psygib, an absolute beast mechanically. His LG is disgusting. We will see, though.
I feel that ZenAku reminds me a little bit of the Hang, not in the way they play so much, but just in the, I guess, the values and principles that they exude in so much that he's very consistent and he has a very methodical style, but he doesn't have anything for me that sets the world alight. I don't look at him or any of the plays that he really makes happen and go, wow, like, he doesn't scare me in that sense, which is good and bad. Like, you know what you're going to get from ZenAku, and he's very consistent, but then I just feel that there needs to be that additional edge to his game. And for Dahang, that is in outright aggression and perfect decision making, and that's the vein in which ZenAku is moving towards. But yeah, I think you said at the start, I would definitely put my money on psygib just because when he's on form, he has that sparkle and he has that mechanical skill that sets him apart from other players.
Yeah, and he can absolutely tear you apart. The thing I enjoy personally about ZenAku is he's kind of in the same vein as Rafa. When he's streaming, he kind of has this flow of like his thought process, what he's doing, why his opponent is doing it. And it's a good teaching tool for those at lower tiers, kind of newer players that are trying to get into the competitive scene. Again, Rafa is probably the king at it, but ZenAku is holding his own, getting better, always grinding, kind of having that stream repertoire with his chat. And it's always nice to pop in there. So if you haven't already, go drop all these players to follow. Check them out. You can get in their heads. You can see how they play, kind of their thought process behind everything, and it's really cool to see.
Cool, thanks, 40. It's not going to make him win a game in Quake Pro League, but it's good to know, right?
It might. You don't know that yet, sir. Negative Nancy. But let's go to the pick and bans and let's see if that's a step in the right direction for ZenAku here as we see Corrupted Keep, Awoken, and Blood Covenant. We got Ranger Visor, we got Eisen, Strog, and Clutch versus Anarchy. That might be brutal for ZenAku. I wonder if he's got a little something.
I thought it might be brutal for Anarchy.
But think so?
We'll see. I mean, I saw him play it the other day. I think it was against Rafa, who really struggled. He did beat it in the end, but he did struggle. So he definitely has been practicing that champion. The rest of them, however, Visor is always an interesting pick for me on Corrupted Keep. It definitely has a lot of value, but we just don't see it played a lot. So I'm excited to see how psygib plays that, because the Scale Bearer was available. I mean, we know how much he loves it. So interesting. Awoken, again, rather unusual picks in Strog and Pika and Ison, but they're both very valuable on that map. And yeah, ending up with the Mammoth Clutch versus Anarchy.
Yeah, I mean, at a glance, looking at that Blood Covenant lineup, I automatically think, okay, more of a hit and run kind of a thing from Anarchy, but maybe you're right. Maybe he has some clutch tactics in mind. Maybe he's been talking to Razy offline a little bit about, hey, how do I approach this on this map at this matchup? So you're absolutely right. Could go either way any given Sunday, but it all starts with CK, Ranger, and Visor. And I think on that map specifically, I might tend to lean towards the Ranger, just in general, players aside kind of a thing. Because as you mentioned, Visor's not really picked on CK, and the vision's great, but I think the mobility with the Dire Orb and the burst potential up close, especially with shotgun and stuff like that, is going to kind of lean in the favor of a Ranger player. But, you know, any given Sunday, any given player, so we'll see what psygib has up his sleeve with the Visor.
Yeah, I would agree. I would personally rather pick the Ranger, but Visor has a lot of utility as well. There's plenty of traps places to make yourself felt on that map. So having that additional information is going to be key. It means you get the opening damage if you have it used and available. So it is has a lot of value. I think overall I would definitely favour psygib. We saw him in week 1 when I commentated him up against Rafa, and he was really unfortunate not to come away with at least one map win. I definitely think that he might have found a little bit more of his groove again. So hopefully he could pull out a victory here. I would expect 3-0 personally, but I think ZenAku is very good at keeping it close, and it wouldn't be surprised me if he came a map away as well.
I think ZenAku can steal a map away. I think he's going to have to earn it, but I think he could do it. But ain't nothing to it but to do it, as we're going to load into map number 1, CK ZenAku versus psygib, live right now for our 4th set of the day. And we are going to start off on the one, the only psygib. ZenAku, I'm a liar. I'm an absolute liar.
Yeah, the 50-50 shot.
And I still ruined it. But right off the spawn, ZenAku getting in on the rockets now, holding position. Right off the bat, I'd really love to see heavy machine gun whenever possible from both players. Again, that's the best way to keep up the damage and chip. psygib has that LG, and he would love nothing more than ZenAku to run into that LG again. psygib's LG is nuts. And there's the Dire Orb play. Just like that, he grabs the Mega. The rocket somehow will not land, and that's really unfortunate. ZenAku had the right idea. If that rocket would have popped psygib up, that would have been both items in his favor, and maybe even a frag.
As it is, it does fall back into the stalemate. Both items should be traded, although there is a little bit of a gap already between the two. Nice damage from ZenAku there, but psygib is looking a little bit prettier so far.
Just holding that ground above the heavy. There it is. So much machine gun. You're seen for a split second, you just get shredded, and psygib does a good job of keeping that damage out, but ZenAku will claim the heavy. Rocket jumps through the telly to try and get some speed, but unfortunately we're dropped down to the low ground. That's not what you want. The tri-bolt defensively is pretty good, keeping psygib at bay and winning out the Mega for ZenAku. Vision popped, so psygib's going to know exactly what ZenAku's up to. Oof, that rocket right to the face. There's the chase and the kill right before the telly.
Nice.
It's a
And
big
there we
frag.
see that additional burst coming out, as you spoke about with Ranger on this map. There's obviously ample opportunities to close the gap on your opponent, close combat, and the orb is powerful.
The orb is almighty here, as Visor's vision is great. You could see the orb coming straight into your chest piece. But 1-0 for the Australian playing from Poland here. And that's a story in and of itself. I mean, the dude's a beast for being able to play under conditions like that consistently.
Oh, absolutely. Full admiration to him, and he's the utmost professional. So he deserves everything he's got, to be honest. And he's got the lead.
Can he hold on to it? The Dire Orb will be back. Mega is up shortly. He is kind of a little bit out of position here. He's going to drop down. That's a bit of a risk. There's the Dire Orb, but the great defensive rocket doesn't even need to take the Dire Orb. And instead, psygib will ride the lightning down to 27 HP. Very, very close there. ZenAku looking for the cutoff, misses with the rocket. He should be able to win out on this heavy, though. psygib shouldn't be here. He's very weak. The machine gun not connecting. Still not connecting. So close. One tick of damage, but psygib will live to see another day. Well, maybe another 30 seconds, depending on how ZenAku plays this. psygib's fearless right now. He knows he doesn't have the stack for this, yet he keeps going for these fights. ZenAku leaving up the 50 shard, opting to try and get this frag. He does great damage, keeping psygib so extremely low. I really would have liked to see him deny that 50 shard before grabbing the heavy, but he smelled blood and he wanted to attack. And that might give psygib an opening if he could wrap around the red room and grab this after the Mega.
So ZenAku's got perfect rotation on both major items, and yes, it's only his second frag, but he's suffocating psygib out of the map at this point in time.
Shotgun up close and personal. psygib is going to pay, as ZenAku has a shotgun of his own. And yeah, the Australian looking very strong, playing this very well.
Yeah, at the moment, psygib's only had 4 major items in total to ZenAku's 12. So the rotation's been good. He will pick up that Mega and finally be in a position to take control now. Going up aggressively, I like that move. Completely unexpected for ZenAku. It wasn't the cleanest of frags, but he did enough, and good use of the piercing sight as well. The first real time we've seen it come into effect. Although, look at that from the Ranger. And I think the rocket jumping has been a really distinctive feature of ZenAku's play so far. And again, it's not a map you would often attribute that as being a particularly valuable tool. But ZenAku's making it count.
The leap of faith there from psygib going in on that Mega. Now ZenAku's on the back foot. He already took all the resources on this side of the map. What are you looking at? It's already gone. He needs to be really careful. But psygib, a merciful god right now, letting him survive off scraps. And now he's going to push in with the LG after he grabs everything he wants from the map.
Let's see how ZenAku can respond here. We obviously saw he managed to refrag him with the additional burst of the orb. But now psygib's in a position where he's got rotation himself. That split remains at 11 seconds between major items, and psygib on the offense is commanding. He can rotate items well. He's got the mechanical skill to demolish his opponents. Try to make that little rocket jump again count. Didn't work this time, but there's plenty of time. Only 2 frags in this game so far, and it will quickly drop down. What on earth was that?
That burst. psygib needs to respect that. He wants to get up close and personal, and ZenAku punishing him appropriately on that one. Shotgun orb blasts to the face. Ooh, that rocket taking off the sleeve of ZenAku here. And as he's trying to play defensive, trying to plus back, and he's going to put his back to almost sure death here. As psygib, if he wanted to push that, he could have. Has the stack. ZenAku looking weak. He's going to get really good machine gun damage, but psygib returns it as well. Has the dire orb up. There it is again. Can he get the rocket? He can't. psygib survives, gets that frag 5-3.
Oh, psygib's not in the
What a
right
blast.
place here. And there's just been immense burst damage. Like, psygib's done a pretty good job a lot of the time, but then the way that ZenAku is managing these fights as and when they happen has been remarkable.
Fantastic dodging on those rockets, not catching a stray right there, and that's going to have stacks be about even. And yeah, ZenAku getting a lot of mileage off of the shotgun orb combo, a little bit of rocket damage as well right there. Fighting for this Mega. Ooh, and that LG pin! Oh man. That could have been curtains for ZenAku right there. Good damage from psygib. It's a really good set of rockets there from ZenAku. This is really bad for psygib. He's gonna die here. There's just right over the ledge, and the burst was enough. psygib was so weak. And now psygib knows that the orb is not gonna be in play here, so he plays aggressive, has the LG, pushing him off of the Mega. Well earned from psygib here. Zen has to play on the back foot now. I think psygib is starting to realize how she's relying on that dire orb, and now he wants to attack now that he knows it's down, and just like that, 2 rockets around the corner taking out Zen.
This is not now looking good at all for ZenAku. 2 minutes to go, and psygib is desperately trying to close the stack. Might need to be more calculated. The last few times he's tried to do this, he's come off worse, but this time it is as clean can be. Try and force the spawn over in this corridor. He knows where ZenAku is, and there's lots of time. He has to be wary of the shotgun. He's already learned his lesson once, but that's not what you want to see. Nice tribot, but it is just before the major item. And he's also got no orb up as well, so the burst potential isn't there. Has all that hard work gone to waste? It is still tied, but it's not looking good for the Australian.
Yeah, firmly in psygib's hands right now. Zen just trying to slow things down. Wants the dire orb back. He's gonna have to wait 19 seconds. psygib running around the map, just outputting so much damage right now. Still not out damaging ZenAku in total, but he's definitely coming back in, clawing his way back in.
Oh no, we missed it!
Oh no, that's curtains. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. And there's the lead, the first time of the game for psygib, and it is at the perfect time with a minute to go. And the painful thing for ZenAku is he hasn't done any damage for the previous few frags, and look at psygib's confidence to keep going aggressive. The burst is there, but now the burst is gone as it is on cooldown, and ZenAku He needs to make something happen. He's very early for the heavy. That will give time for psygib to just a little bit and get back into position to deal some damage through that teleporter.
And the Rocket Orb combo right there was enough to send psygib packing. So stacks are about even for this next Mega, and that's going to be huge because if Zen wants to get back in on this, he needs that. So now he has 30 seconds in the stack to try and make this work. He's playing the denial game too, taking that 50 shard rocket jumping more than he needs to. But it's all about this frag right now. It's all about hunting. And psygib did pop vision, so he's not going to have an advantage in that regard. But psygib is just playing hide and seek.
But he knows where he is. He heard a rocket. He knows he's down below. Comes through, the shotgun's there. This should be a frag, but the rockets are great from psygib. That one doesn't connect somehow, but that one does, and that knocks him the wind straight out of him. He's got 5 seconds to make something happen. The shotgun's there from both of them. How? Where? What? Why?
No.
What?
I can't. That was so close. Those rockets in the red room were fantastic. The 225s go to him, and then psygib actually pins himself in LG rather than going Boneyard up to armor, and the shotgun just couldn't land. That's brutal. That's brutal.
Landed straight on the spawn of the Mega, and you thought for sure. You thought for sure it was going to go to sudden death, and I don't know. It just didn't. It just didn't.
I thought we were going to see sudden death, and I thought I was going to do a Shui live on stream because I think that's what Zen would want, but I don't know. But unfortunately, not today, as psygib somehow steals the... Well, I don't even know if I would call it stealing it away. He worked his way back into that one, but near the end there, you really thought it was just done and dusted into sudden death.
That was a grind from psygib, and I really enjoyed the way ZenAku played that because I don't think I've seen for a long time the Ranger be used to such effectiveness. I think if it was any other champion he picked, if that was a Doom, for instance, that would have been psygib's map a lot closer. But the way in which he used the not only the orbs almost perfectly every single time, but the rocket jumping as well for the additional boost and getting back onto the mid ground quickly, it was distinctive, such a key feature of his play, and opened up these opportunities. I think the moral of the story for ZenAku in that instance was not making his pressure count enough when he had the lead to begin with, because I think it was only 5-6 minutes in when it was still like a 2-0 game after all the control and pressure from ZenAku. So if he had racked up a few more frags in that instance, it would have been probably a bridge too far for psygib. Nevertheless, it was a long road back to win that one, and he did everything he needed to do perfectly. And look at that.
If you take a look at those shards, those armor shards, literally twice the amount for psygib here, and those are so critical.
But look at that. The damage was 1 damage difference between them. Items bang on even, except for the lights, as you pointed out. You couldn't have separated it any more evenly.
Yeah. And that one, I don't know. If you're ZenAku, you're kicking yourself for that one, but it was well fought, especially on psygib's end, to come back out of that deficit. But I think ZenAku had that one and just let that unfortunately slip away. But shouts to psygib, again, showing us that he has the mechanical skill. He's kind of warming up a little bit, maybe a little bit of a rusty start, but came out on top for that first map. As we head into the second one, we're going to get Awoken. We're going to see Zen on Aizen and psygib on Strog. I think Aizen is very strong again on any map, but especially Awoken, if you put it down near the banana near Mega or kind of in the pond area near Heavy, it's just a trap. You're just going to take damage. You're going to let your opponent know exactly where you are at the very least, and it might be a nightmare going into Awoken here for psygib, but we'll see. We'll see if he can fight his way out. We saw him fight his way out of a deficit already, so I don't think anything scares him.
No. It's, yeah, it is a bit more unusual to use Strog and Pika on this map. It's not the easiest to maximize the crouch sliding on, although it is definitely possible. Aizen is obviously a favorite pick on this map because there are, as you said, creative turret options, as well as just it is a very combat close heavy map for a lot of it. I think the rail will definitely be key once again, and we know how much psygib loves that weapon. So if he can get that rolling, it also might be just as difficult for ZenAku to get a foothold in the game.
Yeah. And I hope that he can have that kind of mental reset. He's pretty good at that, about shaking it off going into the next map, so I don't think the lingering kind of, I can't believe that just happened to me from the first map will be there for Zen. But nevertheless, map number 2, going into Awoken. Let's load up right now and see who's going to add to their fat stacks of cash. Again, every map this season is money, money, money. And that's what it's all about, ZSX, okay?
It's all about money.
All about the money.
Not glory, prestige, legacy.
It's not about being the best. It's not about legacy. It's about sweet yachts and just garbage cans of... Anyway.
I see what you're getting at. Okay.
Well, psygib's getting at this rocket, or at least I thought he was, as he delays the telly. He's going to go over towards the rail instead. Rockets flying out from ZenAku, getting pushed away by that bead of lightning. Again, so dangerous in the hands of psygib. That shaft can be absolutely mental. Dealing with Timmy appropriately there. There it is, deployed again as ZenAku trying to make something happen. Look at how annoying that is. There's the peeker play, dealt with nicely. Almost getting a rail angle as psygib here. Almost taking his head off there. A little bit of tri-bolt. He does actually land one, lands another one. Beautiful shots from psygib.
Yep, nice from psygib. Said he loves the rail and he's already starting strong with that weapon. Will be able to sneak his way and pick up both his major items. ZenAku needs to get away. He hasn't got the right weapons to be here. He wants to hit a rail, but it isn't probably worth it if he eats another one. Turret goes down to defend his retreat.
That plasma almost got him on the way out. Stuck in the banana now. It's a dirty dance they're playing right now. ZenAku. Which exit is going to be the safest here? And psygib is just playing this well. He's playing Guardian of the Mega here. And psygib made his choice, and ZenAku made the appropriate counter choice. He gets away. Mega will go psygib's way. And ZenAku can't really get to the heavy, so both items will go to psygib, but he will delay them heavily.
Yep. Pushes out. Wants to try and hit a rail or two, which he does nicely, and then, as you say, swoops back and delays them, meaning securing those major items. He didn't actually see his opponent up there. I saw him. I don't know how he didn't. And that costs him. Distracted by the turret.
We got the battle for mid-ground here, so that's a great rail from ZenAku. Sending psygib packing. He does want this heavy, but doesn't really have the position to deal anything. And here comes the peeker to try and get a little something. Finally dealt with here. Stacks about even. Psygib needs to be careful. Just a tiny bit of damage is going to give Zen the information he needs, as now it's just a tri-bolt battle.
It's so scary through those choke points. And he's caught up the jump pad. He'll pick up the heavy, but he's also extremely weak. They're both really weak. The shotgun comes out. He should be able to finish him off, and he does. It's also a bit of time before the Mega, though, for psygib to get back on and put some pressure on. Hasn't got any weapons to work with, but he'll have a starting shotgun at the very least. As psygib has secured himself that major item as ZenAku backs off.
Oh my god. That's so much damage, but psygib sweeps in for the Mega. Doesn't look as though he took a lot. Zen needs to be careful. Again, dealing with peeker nicely with that rail out, but gives up full map control, and now he has to be extremely careful and play that kind of plus back rail to try and even things up before he commits to anything.
Yeah, much slower pace than we saw on Corrupted Keep from ZenAku. Needs information on these item pickups. He knows roughly when the Mega is, that's why he's playing up in the mid-ground here. Turret comes out. psygib pushes in. Neither one really takes any damage. But psygib has now delayed ZenAku from making any advances onto the Mega.
Oh, that's a fantastic rocket. In the rail, almost out the window. psygib trying to fight for this as best he can, but gives up position, goes into the banana. Here comes the peeker, the LG to deal with it, and he should be able to get this just in the nick of time as he takes a rail. Pushing in, and he should be able to get it, but pushes psygib out of range. That is so unfortunate, and psygib hits the rail on the way out, and that is so frustrating.
Such a clutch rail from psygib to hit, otherwise ZenAku could have kept that momentum going. He has... Oh no, he can't even get himself on the heavy now because he hit that rail as well.
And this is a tale of rails for psygib, as it appears to never fail. hitting everything he needs to keep himself in this and not give up the frag. ZenAku, there's the jump rocket, looking pretty good. Can't hit the follow-up. LG from below needs to be careful. And again, just getting absolutely desecrated with that rail.
Yeah.
His Sacred Grove gone.
Rail has been the savior for psygib so far. I mean, they're hitting relatively similar statistics. It just feels that psygib is hitting the right rails at the right time. Incredibly clutch.
All things considered, Zen still having a 1 frag lead and a decent stack. Just needs to be very careful on what engagement either commits to or gets caught on. And right now, psygib doing a great job of keeping the middle ground. And Zen kind of knows something's up, but the rocket around the corner into the rail somehow stays alive. I cannot believe it.
I have no idea how this game is 2-1. It won't be for
psygib
long.
Fully committing.
Someone's going to die here, and it will be ZenAku that falls.
And that's unfortunate. I would have loved to see, the minute he saw psygib coming in like a wrecking ball, I would have loved to see the turret go down for a little bit of extra damage, and that could have been the difference maker right there. But instead, Zen kept it in his pocket, and now he gave up the lead. Timmy is deployed now, so this should secure the mega for him. And he has just enough time to maybe get some damage on the exit, but instead he wants to re-up some LG, maybe deny and grab this 50 shard. The rail from psygib will miss around the corner. He's not there. ZenAku not fast enough. psygib getting that exit damage, which is going to be huge. And we're still locked in at 2.
Incredibly strategical game from both these guys now. Approaching 3 minutes to go. Still 2-2. Neither one has had a firm lockdown, and now items have synchronized their timings as well. So we'll go back to trading.
What a rocket
ZenAku,
there on the heavy.
Yeah, eating the rocket though, you can see the stack difference.
Good rails from both players there. Zen doesn't have the stack to keep taking trades like that. psygib will take those all day, looking for an opening. A little bit of warning rockets there. And he's going to jump up and in, and he's going to eat one. Needs to be careful, and psygib's going to push in. He smells blood, and there's the frag, taking the lead at 7:30. 3-2 in favor of psygib.
Yeah. Just feels that psygib has managed to find these opportunities easier than ZenAku throughout the series so far, and as and when he senses blood, he consistently is able to follow up effectively, where psygib has managed to hold ZenAku's pressure off a bit more effectively so far. But we still have 2 minutes to go, and it's only a 1 frag game, and we know how quickly Awoken can turn on his head. If ZenAku can force a fight, and he does well, he does eat a rail, but he has stolen away both major items. Oh, I thought he took in the mega he had. Gives that away for free.
Yeah, tries to go on the offensive and deal damage, sacrifices the mega. And that's unfortunate here, but he does have the stack advantage. Just needs to find the damage. The rocket! Oh, that rail almost pushes him off the map. And psygib cornering himself here, but ZenAku doesn't have the right weapon out to do anything about it. Eating a rail does fight back with one of his own, but needs to be careful. And again, everywhere that ZenAku peeks, psygib has a rail ready. Look at this!
psygib's rail has just been incredible. It's the right rail at the right times. And every time, as you say, ZenAku makes a move, there's a rail waiting for him. The map awareness from psygib has been phenomenal.
Just so good here. There's a minute 10 left. And Zen just eating so much damage from that peeker here as psygib getting closer and closer to taking this map. 1 minute, 2 frags for ZenAku. And he's got to tear through this rather large stack here. And again, just
once again,
every corner, there's a rail.
And it's the whole rotation put to bed. He just nullifies to pick up that heavy. Yeah, I mean, psygib is doubling the damage on the rail relative to ZenAku, and that damage difference is the entire damage difference between the two players. It's been the paramount weapon for his victory on this map.
Yeah, just, oh man, just, you can't get away. You can't get away. And psygib, it was a tale of rails on this map, as you mentioned. About 800 damage differential between the rails, and that's the total damage difference. As psygib will lock this one up 5-2 on Awoken.
Well played. Once again, a very close map between the two. Could have gone either way. It just, psygib had ZenAku's number at every turn. He was using the Strog's maneuverability to open up those rail angles, getting in positions quicker, making those shots easier, and executing as well as he needed to. Yes, he wasn't stringing these rails back to back for glorious frags, but what he was doing was neutralizing any stack difference between the two and just resisting the pressure of ZenAku, and then using the speed of the Struggle Picker to get away from ZenAku, reposition, and hit another rail. So ZenAku's pressure was never felt.
Yeah, just every corner you turn, you're eating a rail. It's got to be frustrating. And psygib, again, the LG is nothing to, take lightly. And the peeker play, I mean, not as glamorous as maybe like a Dehang or Cooler or something like that. Not a lot of damage. ZenAku dealt with it nicely. But as you said, the crouch sliding, the ability to open those lanes for rails and shut down the rotates, that was absolutely huge. Again, the damage difference from the rail itself was the damage difference in total. And that's really what opened up the whole game for psygib.
And the way in which psygib was playing also made the turret feel quite redundant a lot of the time, because he wasn't trying to push and take these close range engagements. There were times where he did that, but it was after hitting a couple of sequential rails or he had catching ZenAku off guard. So the turret didn't have an impact when it needed to. And as you said, there was that big fight over my heavy that ZenAku didn't have time to get it down because psygib had already pushed through into that corridor. So yeah, unfortunately, the Ison pick didn't pay dividends on that front either.
Yeah, I think that was a crucial fight because psygib just went in guns blazing. If that turret was down, maybe at an angle next to the drive-through window or something to kind of catch psygib off guard, that could have changed the pace of everything, but didn't deploy it, and psygib capitalized. And the rail, again, just pretty brutal. 47 outputting, I think, near 2k damage on that map. With that alone, just a really solid play from psygib here. And that's got to be a big confidence boost, winning the first two, going into map number 3, Blood Covenant. It's going to be Clutch and Anarchy. I'm still very interested on seeing how ZenAku is going to use this clutch as we take a look at the recap so far in this series. Very close game on Corrupted. I think that Zen should have been able to kind of force us into sudden death. Whether or not he would have taken it from there, I'm not sure, but that was a very, very close scoreline. And then Awoken, I mean, 5-2 seems close, but it kind of felt like psygib just kind of had it the whole time in his hands.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with that assessment, and you should take a lot of confidence off of the first map in particular, because ZenAku was putting a significant amount of pressure onto psygib throughout Corrupted, and psygib just held his own. He played smart, didn't give away needless frags, and it was only a 2-0 scoreline off of the back of that, and he was able to claw his way back through and take the victory. And as you say, completely different playstyle from both players on Awoken, but psygib was hitting crucial shots throughout that encounter, so that will bode him in good stead going into this map, because again, crucial shots against the clutches is what psygib needs to do to keep in that game and win the game.
Yep, we'll see if ZenAku has something, if he's been working with Razy behind the scenes on this clutch. But map number 3 for the series, let's get into it. It's going to be Blood Covenant, it's going to be Clutch, it's going to be Anarchy. Is psygib going to take all that sweet money from this series? We'll see if ZenAku can steal a little bit for himself, as we are going into it right meow here.
Meow indeed. Yeah, and I think everyone sees Clutch as this barnstorming mechanical beast, as we do have a big encounter where he could show us that. But to my point, playing Clutch is actually about playing slow and methodical a lot of the time, commanding those vials, making sure positionally you're not overexposing yourself. And if you get pushed down, then great, you're going to sweep them up. But otherwise, you're incredibly vulnerable just because of the pure size of the robot. So it's about how you manage fights and how you use your speed. And already, when you're given a 2-0 lead, it's not a bad start.
And ZenAku just kind of playing like a defensive lineman, where he's just going to square up and take the fight straight to him with a shoddy, and why not? 3-0 a minute in, shoddy Pippin. is a 3 for 3.
And yeah, that's not a bad start at all.
But if psygib can transition to this rail and run play that we're seeing right now, is it going to turn the tides? He grabs the heavy. And ZenAku, that's not in your favor at all. You're huge. You need to be careful. Just barely dodging that last rail.
Semblance of overconfidence there. Like, you do not underestimate how strong psygib's rail is, particularly when you're a clutch. And what makes clutch so scary is, for people like Razy, is hitting rails and following up. And luckily, so far, ZenAku is hitting some unbelievable rails.
So much machine gun damage. Swap to the LG. Needs to be careful. That's the fight that you don't want. You are the size of a barn door. You need to be careful here. Almost gets that rail. Goes up the jump pad, and that is death. He risked it all for the biscuit. That rail, if it would have connected, it would have looked great. But instead, now he's potentially going to have a horrific downwards spiral here as the rails, 9-inch rails going in. Mega spawns after for Salt in the Wound, 4-2, and it's still so early that ZenAku needs to be careful on how he paces himself.
Yeah, 100%. It's about how you manage engagements, and you do not want to be giving up free damage, and that's exactly what he's doing. psygib realizing the robot doesn't have a lot to work with, trying to keep the pressure on, and as we say with most heavy champions, you need to keep their stack in check, and psygib's done a good job so far, having regained his composure off a bad start.
And I really like that small adjustment there in LG room. Instead of plus forwarding into a shotgun into a robot, he uses LG, keeps that medium range, negates kind of the power of the shotgun, and forces ZenAku to pop the shield, which is good, but it won't save your life like it used to. So psygib, that adjustment's going to be huge, being able to keep that kind of mid-range or just fight at a distance with HMG or rail.
And so long as psygib keeps hitting these rails, he's in with a pretty great shot. Oh, falls back onto the jump pad, and already we're back to a 1-frag game, and ZenAku struggling now. He's not being given free frags.
Yeah, he's like, I liked it when you plus forwarded into me. Please, more of that. Please, sir, can I have some more?
Also got the injection still up. No need to use it.
Check popped, and there's the heavy machine gun.
Look at the damage.
Oh, and ZenAku's like, please, please, Mega, please, but it's not going to save you. 37 HP in the LG drop down. It's going to give psygib the tying frag at 4, possibly more here. Oh wow! Oh wow!
And this is one of the big problems with clutch, and it sounds obvious, but clutch is even more important that you hit your shots, because you're always going to be receiving damage. That's a guarantee. So you have to hit your shots, otherwise you're bread and butter.
Just barely staying alive here. psygib's going to push in around the corner. That's good damage, and that actually benefits ZenAku 100%.
Yeah.
That's so fortunate for him, hitting that air rocket after the rocket pop, and he's going to be able to get in on the heavy, has a rail, has rockets, and this is looking a little bit better now. ZenAku has to stop the bleeding. And that's exactly what he needed, but just like that, right off the bat, rails again. He's going to chase with a shotgun. He wants this close encounter. There's the inject. Can he get away? The flick rocket fadeaway from psygib, right on target. Now this is a dangerous game to play, because Mega is coming up. Oh, Zen, he gave up position for the Mega. He wants heavy instead. So not a complete loss. But good job from psygib to kind of outmaneuver ZenAku and not really give him anything and get an item out of it.
Oh, that's a tasty rocket though, but the lightning gun is good from psygib, and the lightning gun is great as it will take his opponent down. The injections have been a very good second as well. psygib has worked his way back into this set remarkably.
Oh, just like that. Okay, Zen. Okay, we see you. Oh, psygib, no. psygib, okay. Well, never mind. Nothing matters.
I don't know what's going on. Sporty, help me.
I'm losing it. I'm losing it, man. And so are they, as it's become a street fight between the robot and Anarchy. It's like Anarchy just walked home from a bar to the parking lot, and he's like, my stupid car won't start. And he's just taking out all his aggression here as the fight rages on. Rockets into the face of this Astro van, and psygib again on top, 6-5. as we've had trades, we've had mutuals, we've had everything. 6 minutes in, still a lot to play.
It is a lot to play. It does feel that psygib is actually dealing with the clutch relatively well, though. You can see him desperately trying to seek out a rail angle, knows that he hasn't seen clutch for a while, and that means he will be picking up a couple of items and building that stack, but that's a good rail, unreturned. It's very early though, so psygib just wants to run away and actually kites his opponent more than anything.
Yeah, that adjustment's huge of, okay, I just need to keep my distance because that's exactly what you want with rockets and shotgun, and ZenAku keeps trying to plus forward and just kind of, you know, walking into his own death. Still only 2 frags though, but that's a great rail. Inject forced out from psygib. Oh
Nice.
My god, that was pretty.
Both these players are hitting some pretty incredible shots right now, and pressure's on ZenAku to keep this going. The heavy is stolen away. That was quite a lot of damage actually from psygib, all things considered. ZenAku's not that healthy. Gotta be relatively wary of what psygib has to offer, because even a heavy machine gun will do an immense amount of damage to you.
That was just pretty by Zen. I'm still in awe of that rocket to rail combo to clutch out on the Mega as well. No pun intended here. As psygib will drop, the Mega will go to Zen, and now he's hunting. Grabs the vials. That's going to be huge. There's a rocket not on target, but the rail is trying to get across the door frame and get something going. He hits another rail as well. There's the... Okay, and another mutual.
So many mutuals.
He's like, if I'm going out, I'm taking you with me. And that's happened about 3 times. The spawn will be in favor of psygib. He'll absolutely melt him with that shaft, and that's really unfortunate.
Yeah,
There's a gauntlet.
Whoa.
Maybe he has been playing with Razy here. The gauntlet comes out that forces psygib away. He's very weak. The Mega goes to Zen, and now he's on the hunt again. I would have liked to see him go straight for the rail, but he uses that mining drill, which we see pretty rarely. But he gets a lot of damage out of it. Now he has shotgun. Now he's going to get an LG of his own as well. No major item for 15 seconds, though, so this is going to slow things down a little bit. Question mark? It doesn't look like either of these players want to slow down.
No, and no one can afford to slow down with only a minute and a half to go. The price is going to be high, and the shotgun is good. We do get a tied game with just over a minute and a half to play. And the heavy is up. ZenAku is there, but he's got nothing at his disposal to challenge. So psygib does skitter away for now. Hasn't got any weapons though, so he needs to work his way across to at least get a lightning gun and a rail to his name. But as we see, the heavy machine gun is good. The tri-bolt will be strong as well. ZenAku, that's not what you want to do. You've just lost all your stack.
It's just incredible how much damage is output by psygib. The minute he spots him, it's just heavy machine gun, 60 damage easily. Now Zen forced on the bottom of the map, trying to work off the scraps. psygib has a huge stack, has inject. Shield is up for ZenAku, but again, that's not the saving grace it used to be. So he needs to be very careful, looking for an opening rail, maybe a rocket pop, something to get this going. But we are tied at 8. This could be sudden death. There's the shield. Good rail up the jump pad.
That was an interesting decision to go up the jump pad.
Oh, and psygib somehow hits that. He could close this out with 10 seconds left. The heavy is not safe at all. There's the LG drop. And somehow ZenAku gets away. 5 seconds. It looks like sudden death indeed, but it could be very sudden.
Yeah, it's a matter of time. Unless it's a perfect rocket or psygib makes a huge mistake. There's not much ZenAku can do just now to get out of this, and he will be caught and it will be death. Well played, psygib, to take a clean sweep.
Yeah, that was really close. I mean, shouts to ZenAku. Clutch is really hard to play. Like, especially on a map like that, you gotta have a game plan. And unfortunately for Zen, it was kind of just like plus forward shotgun, which, I mean, to his credit, he kept it close like that. But he also hit a lot of good rails. But yeah, psygib just keeping the pressure on, not letting him breathe, especially when you know shield's down and he's just such a huge target. Why not just push in, gets that frag to win it. Very close map, though.
So difficult, as you said, to play clutch effectively. And there were just a few moments, particularly in the early game, where maybe semblance of overconfidence came out from ZenAku and he gave up a lot of needless damage. And you just can't do that when you're on clutch, particularly against someone that's as prolific with their aim as psygib. You need to play a strong and perfect game, and if you do, then clutch looks, imbalanced. But if you don't, you can see the vulnerabilities come shining to the fore as well. And unfortunately for ZenAku, too much vulnerability came through, and psygib was able to take it away. It was only a 1-frag game, but again, remember that he did give away like 4 frags for free off the bat, so he played that one the hard way.
That was so pretty, though. That one's going in the highlight reel on ESPN, the rocket to rail combo right before the mega pickup, but it's all for naught. ZSX says, unfortunately, he will drop the map, and a clean sweep for psygib. Well earned, well deserved, and well played.
Yeah, his rails stole the show on the last 2 maps. I felt that ZenAku showed a new side of his game for me on Corrupted. We were talking about how it doesn't have that particular, that premium edge to give him a bit of a sparkle, but his Ranger was phenomenal, and he was incredibly unfortunate not to walk away with a victory there. But psygib, once again, solid and consistent and downright good skill. 56 rail, 64 LG. That just shows to me that ZenAku overexposed himself. When you watch Razy's clutch, you often see his opponents not have aim that high, and that's because he's the master of how to play the map on that. ZenAku did a great job, but it just shows you how difficult it is. And if you get it wrong, you get it really wrong.
Yeah, and again, that slight adjustment you saw in the first 2 minutes, kind of the plus forward coming out of psygib as well, going toe-to-toe with clutch, and then the slight adjustment of I'm just going to keep my distance, be it medium or long range, rail or LG, and you're not going to have that shotgun rocket ability that I gave you in the first 2 minutes where you got 4 frags right off the bat. So that was huge. Great performance by psygib, great small adjustments there as we take a look at the series stats for him. But that'll wrap up the 4th set for the day as we look at the wrap up again from that series. 3 more on the way, ZSX.
Yeah, I mean, it's been really close games all day. I mean, once again, I'm spot on with my predictions, unlike you, but the series have been great.
I mean, I've always said that. You've never been wrong, and you constantly carry me. So I'm the first one to admit that. Jacked Zoot for the win, as always. But again, 4 done and dusted, 3 more on the way. We got 1 more from the Americas, but then we're going to hop over to EU for the final 2 of the day, and we're going to get DJ Wheat on the cast. But for now, we all need to go get coffees and snacks. So stay tuned. We will be back. More Quake Pro League action after this.